meddle in other countries' elections?
Oh, probably, but it was for the good of the system in order to avoid the communists from taking over. For example, in Europe, in 47, 48, 49, the Greeks and the Italians, we
don't do that now, though. We don't mess around other people's elections,
I love democracy, and I love freedom. That's why I love America. I mean, when they meddle in foreign elections and affairs, they're really doing it for the good of the people. All they care about are their people. That's why in the 1960s, they kidnapped 300 children from orphanages to run experiments on them and to see if they could induce schizophrenia. But they had to do it, because if they didn't, well, then Russia would have. Don't worry, my government would never do illegal things, like taking an innocent man to a CIA black site. In fact, why would my government need black sites at all? They don't partake in illegal things, and they definitely don't beat and torture prisoners, especially not Khaled El-Masri. He claims that the CIA took him to an illegal black site after they kidnapped him, and beat and interrogated him, even SA'd him. They refused him sunlight and water for 4 months. And he says when he refused to eat, as protests to his innocence, they shoved a tube down his throat and force-fed him. All while eventually learning that he was innocent, presumably months before they released him. And then they left him in the Albanian mountains. But why should I believe him? The well-documented proof? If the proof's so good, why does the court keep denying his case? Yeah, I think I'm gonna trust the court systems over this guy. Our government is fair and balanced. That's why we have elections every 4 years. In case there was something you didn't like, you could make a vote and really make a difference. I'm sure though they've admitted to meddling in foreign elections, they would never meddle in their own. And they definitely wouldn't assassinate a president when he threatened their power. And you know, it might not be fair that we can't elect who runs the CIA, but we elect the president, who is definitely in control of them. And there's nothing suspicious about the Kennedy assassination. That's why they still haven't released all the documents 75 years later. And of course, sometimes we make mistakes. But that's why we teach those mistakes in school, so the later generations don't make the same ones. I'm sure your public school taught all about the mistakes our government made in the past, like the Tuskegee experiments, where our very own US Public Health Department ran experiments on its own citizens, giving African American men syphilis and then telling them that they were treating them, when in reality, they were just running tests and let them slowly die, even with antibiotics readily available for this disease. You heard about that one, right? And since it's asked, why do Americans get so defensive? The US government is guilty of many horrible things. The problem is that the US government isn't alone in these atrocities. Yet it seems like the US is the only one that receives flack on an international scale for these. It really aggravates people when only your government is held accountable. That is a true take of an American citizen, definitely not a Fed.
The government is meant to work for you. It is its only purpose. The fact that it does anything in secret directly works against this. It needs to be held to the highest of standards. The government should not make mistakes. It is not a person who makes mistakes. It is an entire entity. We should not cut it slack, because it would not cut you slack. If you make a mistake, you go to jail. If they make a mistake, oh, my bad, I bombed a children's hospital.
Sorry, I don't know what that was. Anyways, those Puerto Ricans love to play the victim, huh? They just love to talk about how our government supposedly sterilized their women against their will and illegally tested birth control on them. Now, why would our government do that? Why would they forcibly sterilize or coerce 1 in 3 Puerto Rican women? It couldn't be because they sought to better humanity by preventing supposedly inferior people from reproducing. Our government wouldn't do that. And so what the Nixon administration is on record saying, by getting the public to associate the hippies with marijuana and blacks with heroin, and then criminalizing both heavily, we could disrupt these communities. But our government would never do that anymore. They really stick up for the common man. They care about your background, your struggles, your everyday problems that you have to face. They really care, and they prove that time and time again. This video was made possible thanks to MKUltra. Your government has spent years and millions of dollars investing into mind control. And now they've perfected it. They destroyed 99% of all MKUltra documents, but in that 1%, we saw them torturing, drugging, and abusing their own citizens in many ways. And if that's what they showed in the 1% of documents, I'm sure the other 99% have nothing much worse in it. Every day, these techniques that they have mastered are used on the masses to pit them against each other so they stay in charge. All you can do is treat people with kindness and do not trust your government. Thank you for watching. Consider subscribing if you like this video. I'm gonna go vote or something. Just kidding. I'm not fucking voting.